All right, welcome back to another episode of Bear Track Outfitters podcast. Things have been pretty busy around here. We're getting ready for our spring season. It's going to be a good season. It's going to be a busy season, but I can't wait. Getting back in the bush. The second I leave the bush, I'm looking forward to getting back into it and starting guiding clients, and a lot of repeats, a lot of new faces coming into camp, which is going to be great. Bought a new toy, new Argo for the camp. So now when they're wet, we can still get into them. We can access all our baits at all times, so that's nice. Today I just want to talk quickly about what to bring on a bear hunt. Kind of came to me, just talking with hunters, especially first-time bear hunters. They, what do I bring? What weapon do I use? Stuff like that. So I figured I'd do a quick, hopefully this can be somewhat short, just a little checklist of what I recommend you bring on a bear hunt. There's a couple things you have to take into consideration. Let's go with weapon, because that's the most obvious. That's what most people are concerned about. In my experience, bears tend to give up the ghost a little bit easier than a whitetail. Obviously, there's exceptions to that rule. There's bears that I've seen center punched, and they walk it off. They live. So it obviously varies, but generally, a bear will die a little easier than a deer. A double lung bear is a dead bear. I tell my hunters that all the time. They're like, well, where do I shoot? Because they'll do a bunch of research, right? Come up to camp, which is good. I've heard middle of the middle. You shoot middle of the middle. Personally, I don't like that. I tell them middle of the middle and about 4 or 5 inches forward. That to me is the sweet spot. But I tell them, I'll show them. We have pictures. I'll show them anatomy of a black bear, and I tell them a double lung bear is a dead bear every time. So. When you're choosing a weapon, we'll start with rifle. So, I generally tell my hunters 270 and bigger. We have guys that come with 300 Win Mags. That's a little much, but okay. Also, you're not shooting at far distances, right? Our baits are anywhere from 10 to 18, maybe. I think our furthest one is about 20, 21 yards. So 20 yards tops. Like if you're a bow hunter, they're all top pin sights. So 11 yards with a 300 Win Mag is it's a little much. It's a little excessive. So I 7mm, 7mm 08, 308, 30-06, 270. Those are ideal. Those are nice because you'll kill them, but you're not gonna blow the crap out of them. So rifle hunters, that's kind of what I recommend. Also important, just equally as important as optics. Again, we're not the only bear outfit that has, generally you go to a bear operation, their baits are closer. So I prefer open sights if you can. A scope, you pull up the scope and it's black. All you see is black. Well, am I looking at his ass? Am I looking at his shoulders? Am I looking at his gut? Like, what am I, right? Also take into consideration that, chances are that bear's coming in at last light. So it's dark. So now you're trying to find this black blob in the blackness of the bush with a scope that's zoomed in way too far. I've seen a lot of bad shots as a result of that, and wounded bears, and it's not a good deal. So, illuminated reticles help, but again, if all you're looking at is black, I don't care how illuminated your reticle is. If all you're looking at is black, well, that doesn't really help you much. So, it's better than black reticle on a black bear. Don't get me wrong, but you still have to know where on the bear your crosshairs are. And a scope generally it's not good for those conditions. We've had crossbow hunters with scope on there do the same thing. They we had one guy, he killed the bear, but it was not a good shot. So optics are red dots are good. Again, I like the open sights myself if I'm going to use the rifle. Archery. There is some contention between archery hunters on type of broadhead. For me personally, when I'm primarily an archery hunter. I do hunt with rifle and muzzle and all that too, but primarily I'm an archery hunter. So what I look for inertia over speed. I look for weight. I look for that punching power. I don't care if it shoots 365 feet per second. I want that. I'd rather slow my arrow speed down, my FPS down, and have a little bit more oomph behind it. So aside from that, the big conversation is now, well, do I use fixed or mechanical? Again, there's exceptions to every rule, but if I have to advise you, for black bear, I highly recommend fixed broadheads. Have we had guys kill bears with mechanical broadheads? Yup. Do I lose far more bears with hunters that use mechanical as opposed to fixed? 100%. And the reason being, especially if you're a new bear hunter, the fur is so dense and so thick and so long that I've seen malfunctions, and then now they don't deploy, or only one of the blades deploys, or it gets bunged up. And now you add in the fact that you're adding up to 1.5 inches to 3 inches of fat on this bear. A lot can go wrong, right? It's a very different anatomy, very different physical structure than a whitetail. A lot can go wrong, and more often than not with mechanicals, in my experience, more often than not, it has gone wrong. The slick trick broadhead, mechanical broadhead seems to work pretty well. We have a TV show that hunts with us that's what they use, and that seems to work well. Rage works okay, but again, the way I look at it is, why not just eliminate that factor? If you know and are being told that that's a possibility, why not just eliminate that factor and go to mechanical? I've shot the G5 Montex for years, and I swear by them. I love them. I've killed whitetail with them. I've killed a ton of bear with them. I've killed a lot of things with those. I love those broadheads. So I understand people can get, that's what I'm looking for. They can get, attached to certain, well, I always use this broadhead. Okay, that's fine. But you've never shot a bear before, right? Because I've had guys go, I won't say the broadhead because it is a good broadhead, so I don't want to sound like I'm discrediting it. I always use these, and it's a mechanical one. I go, okay, that's fine. And keep using them, because he's a deer hunter from Missouri. Keep using them. But you've never shot a bear before. And I'm telling you, right? You asked me what do you recommend? Because he's doing a bit of research, and what do you recommend? Well, I recommend fixed, and here's why. Okay, but I always use, okay. Again, that's great. If you're not going to take my advice, don't ask the question, first of all. Second of all, just eliminate that. Just, every company makes mechanical or fixed. I'm not telling you to switch bows, switch arrows, switch broadhead company. You can still use whatever that broadhead company is. Just go to a fixed blade broadhead. Eliminate any possibility of it not opening, not doing what it's supposed to do. So, again, do people kill them with mechanicals? Yes. I don't want to sound like I'm I'm not. I just to me, it's an uncertainty that doesn't need to be there. It's a problem that shouldn't have to arise. If you look, because I'll say it. We had a hunter. Didn't take my advice. He asked this is years ago. Asked what he should use, and I said, fixed. He's like, okay, yeah. He gets to camp. He's like, yeah, I've used these mechanicals for years. I know how they fly. And in my head, I'm like, okay, you're shooting 10 to 15 yards, right? You're not taking 60, 70 yard pokes with this thing. So how it flies it's important, but it's not as crucial as if you're elk hunting in Utah and you need to take a 50, 60 yard shot. Anyway, he says, I've used them. I said, okay, fair enough. Fast forward a few days, he shoots a bear, and we find the broadhead. It went through the bear. It never deployed. Nothing. It was a 2-blade mechanical broadhead. Nothing opened. So you're basically shooting a field tip at this point. Needless to say, we never found the bear. So we get back to camp, and he's beside himself. Rightfully so, understandably. I mean, we've all hunted, we've all wounded and lost animals. It happens. That's not my main issue. It bothers me, but it's not my main issue. My main issue is I told you. I told you to use fixed, and you didn't. So, again, you're a grown man, you can use it you want, but you knew this was a possibility. What just happened to you, you knew was a possibility. So I don't feel terribly sorry for you. I feel bad, but again, you knew. So it's just that regret now you got to live with. So that's, in a nutshell, why I prefer fixed over mechanical for bear. For whitetail, to be honest, I haven't found a difference. I've killed a lot of whitetail with fixed and mechanical. I've never found a difference. They both, to me, work well. But with bear, there's just something about all that fat, all that hair, where mechanical, there is failure, and it's more often than you'd probably imagine. Not always, obviously, like I said, but more often than not, it is more often than you'd think it does occur. And it's a shitty feeling when you know that it didn't have to be that way. We've at the end of the day, it comes down to where, as a hunter, where you put that shot. Are you putting that shot in the money? Is it a good shot? That's first and foremost, right? You shoot it in the ass, it doesn't matter what you're using. So this is all based on the assumption that you're making a good shot. Some guys will say, "Well, with mechanical, you can get that blood trail, right? You'll gush them, you'll make them bleed." Well, my next question is, how many bears have you killed? And the response is often, well, I haven't. Because if you did, bears are notoriously bad for no blood trail. Again, exceptions to the rule. We've had bears where they bleed quite a bit. But generally, again, the fat and the hair absorbs the blood. So if you do get a blood trail, it's a drop here, it's a little squirt here, it's a drop. Like you're looking. You're not following a blood trail. You're looking for blood. You're having to sometimes get down on your hands and knees. The amount of times I've pinched moss and be like, oh yeah, that's blood soaked. Okay, we're on the right path here. Another thing too is what most people don't realize is a bear's anatomy is I don't know if anatomy is the right word, but maybe mannerisms is more similar to a dog than it is a whitetail, even though it's a wild animal. Because that bear, the way, just the darkness of the fur, the way it's what's the word I'm looking for? I'm just at a loss for words today. It's deceiving. Because he could be turned a little bit like a bean, instead of, you think he's dead straight broadside, but he could be, curved away a little bit. And so you shoot that bear, you center punch him, he turns, and what happens is that, so you hit the hole, and now that he turns back to normal, and that hide covers up the hole. So now all that bleeding is internal. So the only hope we have is that you put a good shot on this bear, because a blood trail isn't going to make a difference. There won't be any. So we hope you put that arrow where you intended to. So a lot of people don't think of that aspect of it, right? So now you add that aspect into it, on top of the fact that you have a broadhead that may or may not have done what it's supposed to do. It's just, again, it doesn't need to be that way. So, excuse me. Crossbows, similar to archery, I guess. It comes down to broadhead. If you have a scope on your crossbow, just like a rifle, make sure it is low power. Dial it down as low as it can go. You want the widest view you can have. I think there's a thing is too fast, but maybe that's a subject for another time. So, in terms of weapon, I hope that helps. That clears up the air. Normally, when you're going to bear country, there's going to be bugs. There's going to be a lot of bugs. And there's always, Thermacell, they give off a bit of smell, which they do, but I haven't found it to damage the hunt. I tell hunters all the time, no, just bring a Thermacell. Because they're like, oh, the bugs going to be bad up there. I said, oh yeah, just bring a Thermacell, you'll be fine. And they are. It never, we had a hunter one time, I went and picked him up, the bugs were so bad, and he had 2 Thermacells, he had one hanging off each ear. He saw bears, but the bugs were bad. So Thermacell is fine. I don't like the whole net face covering. To me it's like looking at a blurry TV. I don't like it. So Thermacell's fine. People always, is it okay to use permethrin for ticks? It is. Just do it ahead of time. Don't do it right before you go out, right? Do it ahead of time. A big question I get is because we've had hunters come where they're, I found this cherry powder made from such and such company. I'm going to see if this works. The hell you are. That's what I in a roundabout way tell my hunters. I don't say it like that, but that's what I tell them. You're not, because now you're introducing a foreign scent, a new scent. Not only am I trying to get that hunter's bear, I have to think of the weeks coming ahead, right? I don't want to blow this bait because you decided to improve your chances by spraying this cherry powder everywhere. We had a hunter one year, unbeknownst to me, brought in Bear Bomb, those cans where you spray. He gets in the stand, he waits for the guide to leave. I wasn't guiding him that week, but he waits for the guide to leave, climbs down, he puts down his stupid little Bear Bomb. The thing goes off, and he's waiting, he's going to kill a bear. Not only did he not see a bear that night, we didn't see a bear at that bait site for the rest of the year. True story. Your outfitter that you're going to has a process. There is a science behind what they do. It'll be different from place to place. Like, I may do it different than that guy who does it different than that guy. But that doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is, do they have a system? Do they have a process? And you as a hunter, do not intervene in that process. There's nothing that drives me more up the wall than a hunter who comes to camp, who's never killed a bear before in his life, who now is giving me advice on what I ought to do to improve his chances. And being in the hospitality industry, I have to be careful how I respond. I understand where they're coming from. I understand they paid money, they want to get a bear. So I get that. So I try to be a little sympathetic with that. But I've been doing this for coming on 2 decades. The amount of bears I've guided for and killed myself, I couldn't even begin to give you a number. You've never killed a bear in your life. Sorry, but your advice doesn't carry much weight. And that's not trying to sound arrogant. And that goes with any outfitter, not just me. If you go to an outfitter, you're paying them for a reason. You're paying them to get them a bear, right? You're trusting them to get you a bear, or else you wouldn't have booked with them. Let them do what they do. Don't guide the guide. Just let them do what they do. Trust what they do. Ask questions. Why do you do this, or why do you? But at the end of the day, they know they should know what they're doing. As far as that's probably my best advice for gear to bring on a bear hunt. Most outfitters will have everything else you need. If they don't, on their website, they should have a gear list. I know we do. And ask them. Right? Just, hey, this is what I'm thinking of bringing. Anything else you recommend? So, I hope that helps. I could have made it a lot more detailed than that, but I figured you get the gist. If anyone has any questions or comments, just down below, and let me know if there's something that I didn't cover that you hoped I would. Until next time, get in the big woods.